My name is Ronelle King. I am a gender rights advocate from Barbados. I started my work in 2016 when I founded an organization called Life in Leggings, Caribbean Alliance Against Gender-Based Violence. The intention of the organization is to eradicate gender-based violence in all its forms throughout the entire Caribbean region. And I started that from my personal experiences having be a survivor of sexual, physical, and virtual abuse. But I did have an experience when I was 19. I met a guy that was 10 years older than me. So he essentially grew me into that. We didn't officially get into a relationship until I was about 20, 21. He essentially was a textbook narcissist. He was emotionally abusive and he was sexually abusive. And then after the relationship ended, he threatened me that if I made it public or that if I told anyone what happened in the relationship, that he was going to leak my nudes. So he went to social media and he wrote a lot of embarrassing stuff, a lot of lies, detailing a lot of very, I wouldn't say personal, but very graphic things that didn't actually occur in the relationship. And get people to believe that he was a victim, but I'm the person who that was not the case. So he's committed to trying to do that. Eventually, I got to a point where I had to get a lawyer to get him to cease and desist. So for me, I've always shared or had a passion for human rights. I can't see an injustice and just ignore it. Who's going to address the issue? And if not me, then who? But also, I recognize that I'm the beneficiary of rights that were fought for by my foreparents, by people who've gone before me. And so for me, what drives me is that I want to carry the needle as far as I can to ensure that other generations don't have to experience what I did, but also so that it's a lot easier for them. I've spoken publicly many times. I've given a report before the UN for the CEDAW committee. I've spoken on platforms such as One Young World. I've traveled the world extensively speaking on what occurred and how I fought back. I think these experiences never leave you. I think you will never really be able to move on from those experiences. I think what happens is it either breaks you or you decide that you're much more than the bad things that happen to you. And so for me, after it happened for a while, I became a shell of myself. I didn't immediately rise like a phoenix, you know. It's a process and not everybody's journey is the same, and that is okay. What happened was that there was a breaking point for me, and I felt as though it couldn't continue the way that it was, and this is not normal. This is preventable, absolutely preventable, that no one should have to go through these things, or not another person should have to experience these things. And it goes back to what I was saying, if not me, then who? I felt as though I was looking around, looking for someone to step up to take on this challenge, and why not me? Why not create the conversation? Why not start to work to creating the environment that you want, to be able to walk around peacefully as a woman, to be able to, navigate my life without this ever-present, ever-growing fear of violence. And so I decided that I was going to start that conversation. I launched a hashtag. This was before Me Too, so we didn't have like a playbook on how this was going to go. We just hoped that it was going to be receptive by the general public. And as you can imagine, it was a mixed bag. I shared my first experience. I didn't start with any instructions. There was no prompting of people to share their experiences as well. It was just me sharing my own experience, and women across the Caribbean felt And so that they could relate to what I was sharing, that they had their own experiences too, and they just started to share it. They started to reach out, and it grew across many Caribbean countries into the diaspora. We got responses back from as far as Japan and as far as China and Denmark, you know. Through our work, we had several different UN agencies reach out to us almost immediately. UN Women Caribbean reached out to us and lent us a massive amount of support. We went before CEDAW, as I would have mentioned, and talked about the realities of women on the ground and the importance of the Employment Sexual Harassment Act being passed. We're all working towards this greater good, and all stakeholders needed to be at the table, me as civil society, the government, and of course the UN as this international body to help us get to this place. And so when the opportunity came to join, because I'm not only a part of the Young Leaders for the SDGs, I'm also on the UN Youth Advisory Board for Barbados and the Eastern Caribbean, and I would have served in their inaugural Youth Peace and Security Support Group for UNESCO as well. So I've been a part of the UN. I think what is also crucial to understand is that survivors, it can take them up to 7 attempts to leave. So there is no shame in if they've tried more than once. You know, I'm not going to blame them. I'm here to support them. I understand that it's very difficult, taking into factors of finances. When women leave, abuse is the most dangerous time for them. That's when they're most likely to be killed. And when you look at the femicide rates in the Caribbean, it's extremely high. So it's important for them to know that, again, it's not their fault, that they're not alone, and that I'm here, and there's a lot of support out there for them. I think I want to say that in the context of what's going on, there's been so much, and we're seeing so much as it relates to violence against women and girls, even in high-profile cases, and the backlash that comes from it, the results of it that will affect the average and everyday person. I think it's important for people to know that in, again, the context of, let's say, Me Too, how women were empowered to speak out, and people think that from those movements, women, you know, it will be a straight trajectory. Women will come out and continue speaking. That is not the case. For our action, we're receiving a lot of backlash. And the only way that women are going to continue to speak out, women are going to come forward. The average woman's going to feel comfortable enough to report abuse and to push forward their cases if they get support. And the support for that can largely come from the public. So we have to examine the ways in which we can support survivors. I think people don't think about their everyday actions and how it can deter survivors from coming forward. If you've reported your instance of abuse and they publish it in the paper, and your name is not out there, if that's the case, but you read the comment sections and you're seeing all the victim blaming, you're seeing people not believing you, you're going to be fearful to, you know, continue this case. What if the judge doesn't believe me? If these people are not believing me, you know? There are everyday actions that we can do to try to transform our culture into one that shames survivors, into one that supports survivors. And what we need to do is think about how we can do so with our individual actions, how we can create that environment where they come forward and feel safe enough to do so. They can reach out to our website, lifeandleggings.org. We're also on social media, official Life and Leggings on Facebook and Instagram, and the official LIL on Twitter. You can find me by reaching out on social media as well, by my name, and any platform I'm on. LinkedIn, I've had people reach out in a variety of ways, so we're very responsive.